And let's get an update on the situation in Bayelsa State. Joining us live from our studios in Abuja is a media consultant to the Bayelsa State government, Mr. Chuks Akuna. A pleasure having you with us on the program.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Now, there are many issues to discuss, but first, let's start with an update on the devastation witnessed by more than 300 communities. Are the waters receding?
Yes, naturally, waters are receding, but then the damage has been done. And the problem is when there's troubled waters, you pour oil on troubled waters, you don't inflame passions. And that was exactly what the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Disaster Management, Farouq, Sadiya Farouq, did. And this is the bone of contention at the moment. If you recall, a few days ago, I think on Monday, members of the House of Reps from Niger Delta called for her resignation. And I clearly support the moves by these lawmakers to ask her to resign. You see, it is bad enough that people are going through troubled times. And the least you can do to people when they are going through troubled times is to console them, is to display empathy. But what the minister did was to tell us that Bayelsa is not in the league of 10 worst affected states, which was very, very laughable. To begin with, anybody with a minute sense of geography will know that the lowest point in Nigeria is Bayelsa State because all the waters empty into the sea. And of Nigerians, about 850-kilometer coastline of Nigeria, Bayelsa has about 210 kilometers of that. So Bayelsa is the lowest lying state in Nigeria. The average elevation in Bayelsa State is 20 meters, as against 450 meters in states like Jigawa. Of course, the highest point in Nigeria is Taraba State. So it goes to reason that the higher the elevation, water tends to flow. I mean, of course, like every other thing, by gravity. So it tends, I mean, reason would dictate that water flows from areas of higher elevation to areas of lower elevation. So the two biggest rivers we have that flow through Nigeria are River Niger and River Benue. And every other river in Nigeria empties into River Niger or River Benue. And at the end of the day, these two big rivers empty into the ocean. And the biggest tributaries, the biggest arteries through which these waters empty into the ocean are, whether we like it or not, in Bayelsa State. Okay. So it's very wrong for the minister to have said that. And I have thought that the minister, she's human. She ought to have, realized that she made a mistake, that it was a freedom slip, and apologized to the people of Bayelsa State. But as things stand, as we speak, she has yet to issue an apology to the people of Bayelsa State. These are people who, former President Goodluck Jonathan's house is submerged in flood, Governor Diri's house is submerged in flood, Deputy Governor's house is submerged. Everybody from Bayelsa State. Bayelsa is one of the smallest states in Nigeria and has the fewest number of local government areas. There is no local government area in Bayelsa State, as we speak, that is not underwater.
So what's being done to help those, especially those that have been displaced? You said the waters are receding, but what's done to help those who have lost their homes and properties?
Yeah, we saw the governor going around, the governor, his deputy, and other top officials of government. They've been going about, but you see, this is more than the state can handle. And the saddest part of this is that, had this happened in other parts of the country, federal government's response will have been swifter. Rather than, we saw the minister talk about deploying the Nigerian Air Force to send relief materials, but this is not true. This is not true. Bayelsa is a key state in Nigeria. Bayelsa is one of the four largest oil-producing states in Nigeria. Bayelsa is the state that is one of the hardest hit states, that has suffered untold hardship on account of its topography. So the governor has done the much he can, but then Nigeria gets its revenue from crude oil, and Bayelsa is one of the biggest contributors to this money. So in terms of crisis, the federal government should also be seen to be helping one of the key GIs goose that lays the golden egg, and in this case, Bayelsa. The state government has released over 600 million naira, but then it is beyond the capacity, it is beyond the powers of the state government because it's a colossal catastrophe. Governor Diri called it a humanitarian crisis. Imagine Nigeria's government 2 months ago when there was flooding in countries like Pakistan, which Nigeria has no bilateral relationship, no cultural affinity with. We saw President Muhammadu Buhari calling for global attention on Pakistan. Last year, the federal government gave $1 million to the government of Afghanistan. We have no cultural or regional ties with countries like Afghanistan. Then we have states like Bayelsa, a state that is hard hit by flooding. And the empathy we get from the federal government is the minister saying that, oh, why is there so much hue and cry over Bayelsa? That Bayelsa is not even among the league of the 10 states that are affected. It's very, very wrong.
Mr. Kuna, the federal government has said that it's saddened by the level of devastation and help is being coordinated, especially for Bayelsa State and other affected states as well. Reports say that NEMA has brought in some relief materials in coordination with the Nigerian Air Force. Has this in any way impacted the people?
I'm not sure because you see, there are two different things. Sending relief is a different thing. Distributing relief is another kettle of fish. The problem is that access roads have been cut off. Houses, you needed to go there. It's easy for us to be in Abuja and talk about flooding in Bayelsa. Even in normal times, getting across from point A to point B in states like Bayelsa is a very huge challenge, let alone now that, every facet of development in the state has been impacted. I told you that the former President Jonathan's house is in water.
Okay.
The governor's house is in water. Every person that matters, everybody, each community in the 8 local government areas has this problem. So even if you airlift relief materials to high places, okay, like Port Harcourt, you fly to Port Harcourt, how do you move these things to the hinterland? About 96 persons have been reported killed by this flooding. Over 1.3 million people are said to be affected by this flooding. So how do you effectively move relief materials to 1.3 million persons? This is a very huge task for the state government and, of course, for the federal government.
Mr. Chuks, media consultant to the Bayelsa state government, a pleasure sharing your thoughts with us on the program.
Thank you very much.